Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Natalie and I talk about all things navigating redundancy, semi and early retirement. And if this is something that interests you, please do consider subscribing. Please leave a comment about any questions that you might have, and welcome to my little community. So today is all about, as the title suggests, I have made my very first drawdown request. Super scary stuff, but it was done under certain conditions. And that's sort of what I want to talk about today and give you a few numbers, a few facts and figures about why I made that decision to do that today. So the first thing is, what is my current position? I was made redundant last October. And for the last, my goodness, what is that, nearly 9-10 months, I have been living off savings, little jobs here and there, some seasonal work that I've been doing recently, and basically treating this as a transition year between being a fully employed corporate employee, earning a substantial amount per month or per year, and to being a semi-retired person with a seasonal job paying a minimum wage, which I absolutely love, and starting to use my pension as my main source of income. So that's where we are. So August, and I always have my little cheat sheet if I can find it. Where did I put? Oh no, it was sitting right beside me. What am I like? So I've got my little cheat sheet, and I'll use this for my little thumbnail, whatever. Okay, so August was an interesting month. We had the FLA here in Belfast, which is the biggest festival in the world of Irish music, tradition, culture, and all that beautiful good stuff. Something I hadn't really experienced before, because it was the first time it was happening in Belfast, and also the second only time happening in Northern Ireland at all. And it was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. Working in the city every day and just listening to all the music and going around and experiencing it was brilliant. Really hard work. I was out a lot in a lot of the venues. I was, had a little cart where I was hoofing around flyers and various different things to whoever needed them. So it was a very active week. But I really enjoyed it, and I literally would come home every day about 7 o'clock and I'd be like half an hour sitting down, have something to eat and straight into bed. I was exhausted, I was in pain, my back hurt, but I swear I absolutely loved every second of it. For the 2 weeks prior to that, I was in their office doing some administrative work, helping them prep for the FLA. And also I have 2 weeks after the FLA as well. So a little bit of office-based work, which actually I haven't enjoyed as much as when I'm out being active. And I think that's one of the big things that I've taken from this little August period or July, August sort of thing, is that I really love active jobs now. So my little seasonal job where I'm greeting people coming off a cruise ship and making sure they get on the right bus and all that beautiful good stuff, and talking to them and just having a bit of fun with them every day. I love that. I loved during the FLA when it was all chaos, but it was organized chaos and it was just manic and we were just trying to get everything done. But the office bit, doing emails and stuff like that, not so much, because I think that my real, love of corporate stuff has just died. So from that, and that's just a recap of where the last sort of 4 weeks have gone, and that's why I didn't have a video last week, because I was literally working 7 days a week. I will have earned around about £2,500 gross. That's with the seasonal job and the specific work around the FLA, and hopefully they'll ask me back next year because it happens for 2 years in each place that it happens. So 2,500 gross. So I will see what comes in, less sort of tax, PAYE and all that good stuff. That money will help towards the bridge between now and when I get the actual pension money coming through in the actual drawdown. So what I have done today is I did a review of my pension, the markets. It's part of my framework, and I will put up a link here to my framework where I start to talk about it, because that is what I use to determine what my spending tier is going to be for the next 6 months. That's how I'm doing it. Every 6 months I'll have a review, I'll determine the spending tier, and then I will withdraw the amount from there or from my cash reserves, or from both, depending on what the level is, whether it's normal, flat, bear, or crash. And again, that video should explain some of it. And if anybody wants me to do a more in-depth review of what I call my Burdock framework is, then I'm happy to do that in much more detail and go through some specific numbers and stuff as well. So that, please do comment down below if that would be of interest to you. So we determined, me and my Harold, my financial planner, ChatGPT, don't say anything. We determined that I have, my pots have grown since my baseline period in June. And I've just got some numbers here. Pot 1 grew by 3.31%. and pot 2 grew by 4.08%, right? Sorry, I was just looking at my laptop. So pots have increased. Markets are generally green. I'm sort of amber on inflation and interest rates, but everything else is roughly green as it stands today, looking at the macroeconomics. So I am staying in normal tier, and my normal spending tier for a year or 6 months, I'll divide it by 2, whilst I still have my mortgage, is 13,500. So 27,000 annually, but 13,500 for a 6-month period. Okay, so I've determined that that's my spending amount for the next 6 months. I'm actually going to be taking 7 months because I want to actually dip into next April, when the next review is in the next tax year, but I want to have enough saved over. So this first year is all about figuring out all the bits and pieces and the staging. That's why I started to do the drawdown in August and not October, because I've got to do a couple of little sort of preliminary steps before I get into a proper 6-monthly cadence. And likely the cadence will be March and September, but I'm just calling it October and April just to coincide with the new financial tax year. So what have I done? What have I done? There's a number of things that I've done. The first thing is I have taken £1,000 from my first pension pot via UF Plus, which means 25% is tax-free and 75% is taxable. Okay, and there's a reason I'm doing it UF Plus and not just tax-free lump sum, and I'll get into that for what's going to come up in future months. Now, that is so that I can trigger HMRC to give me an emergency tax code, so that it's a reasonable amount, and that way then when I do come to get my first proper UF Plus drawdown, it's not going to be an outrageous amount that it thinks I'm taking every single month. So you take £1,000 first of all, let that filter through and percolate through the HMRC PAYE system, and then once that's settled, take the next amount, proper amount. So that's that. But there's a trade-off. I have now triggered MPAA. That means instead of having the ability to add 60,000 into my pension going forward, I am now limited to £10,000 per year. So should I earn any additional money through contracting, consultancy, seasonal work or whatever, and I wish to put that back into my pension, I am now limited to £10,000 a year. Now, am I going to earn 60,000 enough to put into the pension? Likely not. So it's a trade-off that I'm willing to accept. Will there be times when I want to put more than the 10,000 in? Likely, but I'm just going to have to find different ways to, to do that. And I may never even go anywhere near the 10,000 trigger. So I'm comfortable using UF Plus. I have triggered MPAA, and I can't remember what MPAA means, but it means the amount you can put back into your pension when you have triggered the UF Plus. So those are two major things that have happened by doing the first drawdown. I'm triggering a tax code from HMRC. I'm pulling down a very small amount, and I've triggered MPAA, so I'm now reduced to the amount of pension money I can put back into the pension should I wish to do so. That's fine. So what happens next? Well, first of all, the good thing with my pension thing is that there is a couple of checks and balances. So I don't just get it immediately. I have to have an interview, which I had previously done about a month or so ago. They may request another one. I doubt it because it's only 1,000. And the fact is, when I went through that first interview, I had all my facts and figures laid out before me. So there wasn't much explaining to do, as opposed to me just saying, this is how I figure I'm going to do it. They were very comfortable with what I had proposed. And so they said likelihood is they'll probably just rubber stamp it. But I still get to confirm it in another step before that £1,000 comes. So again, if I've, fat fingered the number or whatever, I still have that one check and balance to go through, which is great. Okay, so that's going to happen. That'll all percolate through. Next month, I'm intending to take the full amount that I have determined. Now, I reckon with the 1,000 I've already requested, 250 will be tax-free, 750 will be taxable. Next month, I'm going to be taking an additional 17,000. Now, that is because I'm trying to do it over 7 months, which is about 15,250 gross. Net, I should say, net. The 17,000 plus the 1,000, it's 18,000 is the gross amount, because that will allow for the PAYE, the taxable amount that has to come off as well, to allow me to have the correct spending amount. Now, it may not be that, and I might have over calculated that, and that's okay, because it's my first time doing it. It'll just go into the cash ISA, and it'll just earn an extra little bit of interest until I need it. One thing I want to say is this. I had always considered my cash ISA as being inviolate. It is for my cash reserves. Should there be a crash or a bear market, I have reserves. What I wasn't considering was it's a flexible ISA, and I can cycle money in and out of it. So what I'm going to do is that money that comes down, the large amount that comes down from my pension, I'm going to put it directly into my cash ISA. Some of it will stay as float into my current account, obviously just for the ups and downs of normal spending, and the rest will stay there. And then each month I will pay myself a salary from my cash ISA into my current account, and that's what I will live on. So it's now going to be my little mini treasury. It's not an inviolate source. Yes, there will be money that is ring-fenced for bad years, but I can still earn a little bit of interest on the money that I'm cycling through it as well. And so that's a bit of a mindset change from being an accumulator to a decumulator, and using my pension and using the financial tools that I have. So that's where I'm going with that. So September is going to be the first proper full UF Plus. This month is I'm calling it the HMRC UF Plus. It's the one that just basically gets me into the pension system, as the fact that I'm using it as a PAYE source. October, I'm going to be using as my tax-free lump sum month. Once everything has cycled through the UF Plus system, I'm then going to turn my attention to how can I use my tax-free lump sum. Now, in previous videos, I said I was going to take 30,000 out and pay off the mortgage. Someone suggested in the comments that I put it through my cash ISA and wait until the fixed rate ends and then just pay it all off, which I think was a great idea, except I'm now using my allowance for my spending. And so what I've decided to do is pay my mortgage off in chunks. I've roughly got about 35 grand left, okay? So October, April, and then October 2027, which is just past my fixed rate term, when that ends, are the 3 periods where if the review says I'm allowed to, and again, everything is based on my Burdock framework. What are the markets saying? What's my pension saying? If it allows me to take £10,000 out of each of those 3 periods, October, April, October, then that and the natural paying down of my mortgage each month should clear my mortgage by October 2027 using the tax-free lump sums from my pension. If the markets say, no, Natalie, we're into a crash or a bear, I don't take it. I just keep paying the mortgage off. Once I become mortgage free, and I know there's a lot of information I'm giving you guys, but please use the comments to let me know where you think I'm going wrong, or if you agree, or you want further information. But once the mortgage is free, I will naturally drop down to a lower 4 spending tiers, because I'll basically take the amount I would have been paying with my mortgage, which was about $360 a month, out of my spending needs. So going forward, I will be requiring less out of my pension each month in order to satisfy my spending needs. So that's where we are right now. It's going to be a busy next 3 months with my pension. And as I say, I'm starting it now in August, just for that sort of preliminary step. September's when I take my first full pension drawdown to allow me to get through to April, mid-April. Next April, I do a full review once again. Where are we? What's the pensions doing? What's the markets doing? Which spending tier can I use? As I say, I have 4: normal, flat, bear, and crash. Okay, and I can reduce my spending down into each of those 4. It's uncomfortable in the bear and crash, I'll be honest with you. It's uncomfortable, but I can do it. So there we are. And then obviously, what are my tax-free lump sum conditions are? Can I still do that? And can I still get mortgage free by next October using my pension tax-free lump sums? So that's where we are, folks. Big changes, big decisions, and this is it. I am now officially a pensioner. I'm a pensioner. I've taken pension, or I'm about to take pension money. And I guess this is the hardest thing. It's no longer about the financial system. It's about the psychological system. And that's why I'm doing it in all these little steps. That's why I'm modeling it. That's why I have a very, very comprehensive spreadsheet that I use that has formulas in it that basically say, if there are more than 2 ambers or 1 red, I knock down a tier. And if it's more than that, then I knock down the other tier. I always use ChatGPT to sort of, question my assumptions. It doesn't make the decisions for me. I am always in control of the decisions that I make, but I use it as a sounding board and a thinking partner to make sure that I'm thinking of everything as I go through this. And what it does is it helps with my framework. It helps me to take the psychological fear out of making decisions. And apart from MPAA being triggered, everything's reversible. I don't have to take a pension amount. I can get a job, I can do this, I can do that. I'm sure, I don't know. I still have my little seasonal job. I still have my little prolific studies to get me a couple of quid a month and whatever as well. So I'm looking at having multiple income streams with my pension being the foundation. So there we go. There's 20 minutes of me rambling on, but it's a big, big milestone that I have got to after 10 months of being effectively, unemployed from my corporate world. The fact that I have lasted this long, I am very proud of myself that I've managed to be flexible and adaptive enough that I've got this far. I've got a robust framework in place that will help me get to you know, a drawdown cadence. And I'm just going to have to, you know, get on and start seeing it through. And for those of you who don't know, I'm 55 as well. So this is the first year that I was able to start taking pension. Yes, I am retiring early. No, I never want to have another corporate job full time ever again. I don't mind doing contracts. I don't mind doing small stints, but I don't ever want to do a 9-to-5 corporate job again. So my pension is now what's going to help fund my world going forward, along with, as I say, multiple income streams that, you know, I will hopefully generate over time as well. So thank you all for watching. Please do comment. Please do let me know your thoughts and what your frameworks are and how you're navigating this phase of life, and if you are in a position to take some of the decisions that I'm taking as well. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye. It didn't stop my video. Hang on.